The Formula One world was stunned when Lewis Hamilton announced his move to Ferrari for the 2025 season. This unexpected shift has left fans and analysts questioning the circumstances surrounding Hamilton's departure from Mercedes, his home for over a decade. Toto Wolff, Mercedes team principal, has now come forward with revelations about Hamilton's final season that provide new insights into this major change in the F1 landscape. The 2024 season proved to be one of the most challenging in Lewis Hamilton's illustrious career. George Russell, Hamilton's teammate, outqualified him 19 times to 5, a stark contrast in qualifying performance that was unprecedented for Hamilton. The challenges extended beyond qualifying. Russell finished the season 22 points ahead of Hamilton in the driver's standings, marking only the third time in Hamilton's career that he was outscored by a teammate over a full season. For a driver of Hamilton's caliber, accustomed to leading both his team and the championship, this result was particularly disappointing. Key moments of frustration punctuated the season, offering glimpses into Hamilton's state of mind. A notable incident occurred after a poor performance at the São Paulo Grand Prix. Hamilton's radio message to his team was, "If this is the last time that I get to perform, it's a shame it wasn't great, but grateful for you." This cryptic communication led to widespread speculation about Hamilton's future in the sport. The speculation intensified when Hamilton later admitted in Las Vegas that he had briefly considered not finishing the season. "In the moment, that's how I felt. I didn't really want to come back after that weekend." Hamilton himself acknowledged the frustration of the season, stating, "It's frustrating when you have a season like this, which I'm pretty sure I won't have again, or at least I'll work towards not having again." These statements painted a picture of a driver grappling with disappointment and uncertainty, fueling rumors about his commitment to Mercedes during his final season. Rumors and speculation had Hamilton mentally checked out. As news of Hamilton's impending move to Ferrari began to circulate, rumors about his commitment to Mercedes during the 2024 season started to swirl. Some suggested that Hamilton had mentally checked out, focusing more on his future with Ferrari than his present with Mercedes. F1 journalist Ben Hunt speculated on the James Allen F1 podcast. He handed his notice in at the start of the year, and he was serving his notice he'd kind of checked out. This perception was fueled by Hamilton's uncharacteristic performance dips and his sometimes cryptic public statements. In light of these rumors, Toto Wolff's recent statements come as a surprise to many. Speaking to Automotor on Sport, Wolff firmly denied claims that Hamilton had mentally checked out or was more focused on Ferrari than Mercedes during the 2024 season. Wolff stated, "I don't think his head was in his new team yet. Lewis is too professional for that." This defense of Hamilton's professionalism stands in stark contrast to the prevailing narrative. Wolff went further, pointing to Hamilton's performance in the final race of the season in Abu Dhabi as evidence of his strong commitment. In that race, Hamilton started from a disappointing 16th position due to a poor strategic call by the team. However, he charged through the field to finish 4th, even overtaking his teammate Russell on the final lap. Wolff commented on this performance, saying, "That performance showed the Lewis we all know, a fighter until the end." This race, according to Wolff, exemplified Hamilton's dedication to Mercedes right up to his final moments with the team. While defending Hamilton's commitment, Wolff also offered insights into the technical challenges that may have contributed to Hamilton's difficulties during the 2024 season. He pointed to a fundamental mismatch between Hamilton's driving style and the current generation of F1 cars introduced under the 2022 ground effect regulations. Wolff explained, "This generation of car doesn't suit Lewis. He brakes late and hits the car aggressively into the corners. The car and the tires sometimes don't forgive that. This is more noticeable in qualifying than in the race." This explanation sheds light on Hamilton's qualifying woes in particular. Since the introduction of the ground effect regulations in 2022, Hamilton has secured only one pole position at the 2023 Hungarian Grand Prix. For a driver who had previously amassed a record 103 pole positions, this dramatic drop-off in qualifying performance is striking. Wolff's comments suggest that the current F1 cars may be less forgiving of Hamilton's aggressive driving style, particularly in the high-pressure, low-fuel scenarios of qualifying. This technical factor could explain why Hamilton, despite his vast experience and skill, found himself consistently outpaced by his younger teammate in qualifying sessions. As we look ahead to the 2025 season, All eyes will be on Hamilton as he dons the iconic red of Ferrari. The move represents a significant shift in the F1 landscape and a new challenge for the seven-time world champion. The key question is whether Ferrari can provide Hamilton with a car that better suits his driving style. If they can, we might see Hamilton recapture the form that made him the most successful driver in F1 history. However, adapting to a new team environment after 12 years with Mercedes will undoubtedly present its own challenges. Wolff, despite the impending loss of his star driver, expressed nothing but good wishes for Hamilton's future. He remains one of the greatest drivers of all time, and we were lucky to have him in our team for so long. I wish him all the best at Ferrari. These words from Wolff underscore the mutual respect that exists between Hamilton and Mercedes, even as their professional relationship comes to an end. With Hamilton's departure, Mercedes finds itself at the beginning of a new era. The team has made the bold decision to replace Hamilton with 18-year-old Italian driver Kimi Antonelli. This move signals a clear shift towards the future for Mercedes. In a surprising twist, Wolff admitted to feeling a sense of relief over Hamilton's departure. This admission came in light of Mercedes' plans to promote young talent Kimi Antonelli. Another factor that may have contributed to Hamilton's departure was Mercedes' inability to offer him a lengthy contract. Wolff disclosed that the team was looking towards their junior program, which made it difficult to commit to Hamilton long-term. This situation likely played a role in Hamilton's decision to seek new opportunities elsewhere. As Hamilton prepares to join Ferrari, expectations are high for both the driver and the team. Ferrari CEO Benedetto Vigna expressed the team's excitement, stating, "We're really going to have a good time with him and Charles Leclerc." Interestingly, reports suggest that Charles Leclerc, Hamilton's new teammate, requested to be present during Hamilton's simulator session. This move by Leclerc serves two purposes. It allows him to observe the work methods of one of the most successful drivers in Formula One history, and it ensures that Hamilton isn't left alone with the technical staff, potentially preserving Leclerc's established relationships within the team. The partnership between Hamilton and Leclerc at Ferrari is set to be one of the most intriguing storylines of the 2025 season. Both drivers are known for their exceptional speed and fierce competitive spirit, which could lead to intense on-track battles. Gary Anderson, a former F1 designer turned pundit, predicted a potential showdown between Hamilton and Leclerc, particularly at the Monaco Grand Prix. Anderson warned of a shift in team atmosphere, suggesting that Ferrari might initially back Hamilton over Leclerc due to the significant investment they've made in the British driver. One of the key questions surrounding Hamilton's move to Ferrari is whether he will be able to adapt to their car more effectively than he did to the recent Mercedes models. Ferrari's 2025 car, codenamed Project 677, is reported to be completely new, according to team principal Frederick Vasseur. This presents both an opportunity and a challenge for Hamilton. On one hand, a completely new car design could potentially be more suited to his driving style. On the other hand, it will require Hamilton to quickly adapt to an entirely new machine, which could prove challenging given his recent struggles with the current generation of F1 cars. Hamilton's departure from Mercedes marks the end of one of the most successful partnerships in IF1 history. During his time with the team, Hamilton secured 6 of his 7 world championships and helped Mercedes to 8 consecutive constructors' titles from 2014 to 2021. As for Hamilton himself, this move represents perhaps the final chapter in his illustrious career. At 40 years old, he will be looking to add to his already impressive legacy by bringing success to Ferrari, a team that hasn't won a driver's championship since 2007. Christian Horner hits back at George Russell's claims about Red Bull's struggles and Verstappen's behavior, exposing the fierce F1 rivalries and defending his team's resilience. This clash of titans has its roots in the contrasting fortunes of Red Bull over the past 2 seasons. To fully grasp the magnitude of this situation, we need to examine the events that led to this confrontation, starting with Red Bull's extraordinary performance in the 2023 season. That year, Red Bull Racing achieved a level of dominance rarely seen in the sport's history. The team secured an astounding 22 victories out of 23 races, a feat that left their competitors in awe and, perhaps, a touch of despair. This unprecedented success set an incredibly high bar for the following season, creating expectations that would prove challenging to meet. As the 2024 season unfolded, the landscape began to shift dramatically for Red Bull. the team found itself facing a series of unexpected hurdles, both in terms of personnel changes and on-track performance. It was against this backdrop of uncertainty and change that the controversy between Horner and Russell began to brew. The catalyst for this confrontation came during the 2024 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. George Russell, known for his forthright nature, made some pointed comments about Max Verstappen and the Red Bull team. These remarks were not merely casual observations, but contained serious allegations about the internal dynamics of Red Bull racing. Russell's comments were particularly scathing when discussing Verstappen's behavior during challenging race situations. He stated, "I'm not questioning his driving abilities one single bit, but the second he does not have the fastest car, let's take Budapest as an example, he crashes into Lewis, he slams his whole team, and he loses the plot." This reference to the Budapest race was not arbitrary. During that event, Verstappen had indeed been involved in a collision with Lewis Hamilton and had subsequently criticized his own team's strategy. The incident had created tension within the Red Bull camp, but Russell's comments brought it back into the spotlight, reigniting the controversy. However, Russell didn't stop there. He went on to make a startling claim about the aftermath of this incident. He said, straight away after that race, 25% of his engineering team were sending their CVs to Mercedes, to McLaren, to Aston Martin, because they said they can't deal with a guy like that. This allegation was explosive, to say the least. Russell was essentially suggesting that a significant portion of Red Bull's engineering staff was so disgruntled with Verstappen's behavior that they were actively seeking employment elsewhere. If true, this would indicate a serious morale problem within one of F1's top teams, potentially undermining their competitive edge. It's crucial to understand that Russell's comments didn't come out of nowhere. They were part of a larger narrative that had been building throughout the 2024 season. Red Bull had been facing challenges on multiple fronts, and these issues had become increasingly apparent as the season progressed. One of the most significant blows to Red Bull came in the form of key personnel departures. The team lost Chief Technical Officer Adrian Newey, who moved to Aston Martin, and Sporting Director Jonathan Wheatley, who joined Sauber. These departures were not just a loss of talent, but also a wealth of experience and knowledge that had been instrumental in Red Bull's previous successes. Adrian Newey, in particular, had been a key architect of Red Bull's technical dominance. His move to Aston Martin was seen as a major coup for the rival team and a significant loss for Red Bull. Newey's ability to innovate and push the boundaries of aerodynamic design had been a cornerstone of Red Bull's success, and his departure left a void that would be challenging to fill. Similarly, Jonathan Wheatley's move to Sauber represented another loss of experience and expertise. As sporting director, Wheatley had played a crucial role in Red Bull's strategic operations, and his departure added to the sense of instability within the team. These high-profile exits had already fueled speculation about internal issues at Red Bull. The fact that such key figures were leaving a team that had been so dominant just a season before raised questions about the team's long-term stability and competitiveness. Moreover, Red Bull's on-track performance had seen a noticeable decline after the Spanish Grand Prix. Teams like McLaren and Ferrari, which had been trailing Red Bull in previous seasons, were now consistently outperforming them. This sudden shift in the competitive balance added credence to rumors of internal strife at Red Bull and suggested that the team was struggling to maintain its edge in the face of personnel changes and increased competition. But Christian Horner was not about to let Russell's comments go unchallenged. His response was swift and direct. Horner said, "I'd be more worried about other issues if I was George." This opening salvo set the tone for Horner's entire response, suggesting that Russell might be better served focusing on his own team's challenges rather than speculating about Red Bull's internal affairs. Horner then systematically dismantled Russell's claims. He stated, "I don't know where he thinks and who he thinks they were offering their services to, but all the key people have made long-term commitments to the company." To further reinforce his point, Horner specifically mentioned Gianpiero Lambiase, Verstappen's longtime race engineer, as an example of the team's stability. He emphasized, if you look at people like Gianpiero Lambiase and the key members of the engineering team, they are all on long-term contracts. But Horner didn't stop at merely refuting Russell's claims. He used this opportunity to provide insight into the cutthroat nature of Formula One politics. One of the less pleasant sides of the business is the lengths that will be gone to try and capitalize on other issues in other teams. Horner thinks that Russell's comments were part of a deliberate strategy to destabilize Red Bull. Secondly, it positioned Red Bull as a target of such tactics due to their previous success, reinforcing the team's status as the benchmark in F1. Horner drove this point home with a strong metaphor. I've said it before, but the higher you rise, the sharper the knives. Horner thinks that their dominance had made them a prime target for rivals seeking to gain any advantage, even through off-track means. Horner further elaborated on this point, saying, "And they got pretty sharp at some points during 2024, but when there is so much at stake, other teams will use whatever tools they have to try and destabilize what has been a hugely successful team." To fully appreciate the weight of Horner's response, we need to consider the broader context of Red Bull's 2024 season. The team had indeed faced significant challenges. The departures of Adrian Newey and Jonathan Wheatley were not insignificant losses. Additionally, Red Bull's on-track performance had seen a noticeable dip. After the Spanish Grand Prix, the team found itself consistently outpaced by McLaren and Ferrari. This sudden shift in the competitive order was jarring for a team that had been so dominant just the previous year. The decline in performance was particularly evident in the results. While Red Bull had won 22 out of 23 races in 2023, their win rate in 2024 dropped significantly. The team struggled to maintain their previous level of dominance, with other teams closing the gap and often outperforming them. One particularly notable incident occurred during the Hungarian Grand Prix, which Russell had referenced in his comments. During this race, Verstappen was involved in a collision with Lewis Hamilton and subsequently criticized his team's strategy. This event became a focal point for discussions about Red Bull's challenges and Verstappen's behavior under pressure. It's within this context that we can fully understand the power of Horner's message. By directly addressing Russell's claims and reframing the narrative, Horner was not just defending his team, he was reasserting Red Bull's resilience and superiority. Interestingly, Russell's comments and Horner's response were not isolated incidents. They were part of a larger dialogue involving other teams as well. McLaren CEO Zak Brown had previously mentioned an increase in CVS coming from Red Bull. Moreover, Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff had corroborated Brown's statement, saying, "Zak is absolutely correct. We are seeing Red Bull CVs through all the levels." These comments from rival team principals indicate that the issue of Red Bull staff potentially seeking opportunities elsewhere was not just speculation from a single driver. However, it's crucial to note that neither Brown nor Wolff provided specific numbers or timeframes for these CV submissions. This lack of concrete details allowed Horner to maintain his stance that key team members remained committed to Red Bull. The Verstappen factor in this controversy cannot be overlooked. Russell's criticism was not just about team dynamics, but specifically targeted Verstappen's behavior when faced with challenges. Russell's comment about Verstappen losing the plot when not in the fastest car touched upon a sensitive topic in F1, a driver's ability to perform under less than ideal circumstances. This criticism indirectly questioned Verstappen's temperament and its impact on team morale. By suggesting that engineering staff were looking to leave due to Verstappen's behavior, Russell was essentially implying that the driver's attitude was detrimental to the team's stability.
Yes, the breaking news is Formula One news. Red Bull have announced that Sergio Perez will be leaving the team after 4 seasons. Man in the know, Craig Slater, joins me now.
Perez's exit from Red Bull came as a shock to many fans. After a challenging 2024 season, the team decided to part ways with the veteran driver. Perez's performance had taken a noticeable dip, with his last podium finish coming at the 5th race in China. This downturn in form had significant consequences for Red Bull, as they lost their grip on the Constructors' Championship, slipping to 3rd place behind McLaren and Ferrari.
Well, it's no surprise this is happening, Mike. We've been reporting for some time that he would be replaced at Red Bull. His form was unsustainable.
The statistics paint a clear picture of Perez's struggles. He managed to score only 152 points, a mere 34.70% of Max Verstappen's impressive 437-point haul. To put this into perspective, other team pairings showed much closer performance gaps. Oscar Piastri secured 292 points to Lando Norris's 374, while Carlos Sainz earned 290 points compared to Charles Leclerc's 356. These numbers highlight the significant disparity in performance between Perez and his teammate, which ultimately contributed to Red Bull's loss of the Constructors' Championship. With Red Bull finishing only 77 points behind Victor's McLaren, it's clear that better results from Perez could have made a substantial difference in the championship standings. Perez's career at Red Bull spanned 89 Grand Prix races, from Bahrain 2021 to Abu Dhabi 2024. His qualifying performances tell a tale of two halves. Up until the Miami Grand Prix in 2023, Perez maintained an average qualifying position of 5.1, consistently placing the car in the top 5. However, after Miami, his average qualifying position plummeted to 10.05, highlighting the extent of his struggles. This contrast in qualifying performance illustrates the sudden and drastic decline in Perez's form. The drop from an average position of 5.1 to 10.05 represents a significant loss of competitiveness. What led to this decline? Several factors seem to have contributed. The pressure of competing alongside Max Verstappen, coupled with car development that favored his teammates' driving style, created a challenging environment for Perez. The internal dynamics within the team and constant comparisons to Verstappen's performances only exacerbated the situation. Former McLaren mechanic Mark Priestley, speaking to Casino Uden Rofus, offered insight into the situation. It's not a major surprise. The only surprise with the Sergio Perez situation is that it's taken this long for a decision to be made. It's clearly a lot more complicated behind the scenes instead of the decision being made on the driver's performance. Otherwise, with Red Bull's history, Perez would have been gone a long time ago. This comment suggests that factors beyond just on-track performance may have played a role in the timing of Perez's departure from Red Bull. Now, at the age of 34 and soon to turn 35, Perez finds himself at a crossroads. In a recent press conference in Lyon, he said, "My priority is to enjoy myself, to do things I haven't done, to be with my family. In the next 6 months, I will make a decision on what I want for the next step in my career." This statement marks a significant shift in Perez's approach. For the first time in his career, he's taking a step back to reassess his priorities. But what's truly surprising is his openness about the uncertainty of his F1 future.